Good afternoon, guys. This is Workin bringing you a quick update on EOS. I've got EOS to the dollar out on Binance. We're looking at the one-day chart. Wanted to start off with the big picture. EOS, since its high of $23, has been in this massive descending channel, guys, for the last 2 months. Well, for the last, all throughout May and June. So for the last 2 months, it's been in this massive descending channel. It tried to break out early in June, was unable to, and just tried to break out again. And we had a massive reaction where the bears just broke it right down and rejected it. And I think EOS is down about 7% today. It's interesting, EOS is down and Bitcoin is remaining fairly steady. Usually they kind of follow each other, or EOS follows Bitcoin. Bitcoin's remained steady, EOS has dropped, so that tells me fundamentally there's something going on, more than likely. Fundamentally, we know that Block 1, if you guys are investors in EOS and if you follow it at all, you know that Block 1 recently has decided to start voting with their EOS tokens. If you don't know, Block 1 is the software company that created EOS. They were supposed to be a neutral third party. And, you know, of course, EOS is supposed to be completely decentralized. A lot of people are angry that Block 1 is now starting to vote. They own about 10% of the EOS tokens. And that's just going to make it more of a centralized platform. I know a lot of people are angry about that. I have mixed emotions. I can see both sides, guys. You know, initially, you know, a completely decentralized platform sounds wonderful. However, this is uncharted territory, guys, and until things get rolling and things get running smoothly, I just don't know that you can have a completely decentralized platform and still continue to have things run the way they should, at least initially. I think once things get rolling, once people actually understand how to vote and what they're voting for, at that point, I think, you know, that we can it'll be able to transition into a decentralized platform. But, you know, right now, I just, you know, right now, and I know a lot of people disagree with me. You're free to, guys. The truth is, it doesn't matter what I think. You know, I'm not moving the market at all. So my point is my opinion is kind of moot. But and I know a lot of people are angry about that. That may be why we're seeing a price drop today. Who knows? But the bottom line is, it hit this resistance. It completely rejected by the bears. Completely rejected it, and now we are, you know, now it is downtrending slightly. At least it did. Excuse me. At least it did today. Zooming in, we can see it just broke below the 8-day EMA. The 8-day EMA is in blue, 21-day EMA in yellow, and 55-day EMA is in pink. It just the 8-day EMA, we did break above it a few days ago, and unfortunately the bears have been able to defend the 21-day EMA. The 8-day EMA was acting as support, and the bulls were unable to hold that support, and the bears just completely rejected it once that resistance, that downtrending resistance line came into play, hit that resistance line, and the bears pushed it back down below that 8-day EMA. That's a sign of weakness. Anytime price is below that 8-day EMA, that's a very that's a tall tale sign of a weakening market. We can see volume is very weak at the moment as well, guys. We've got to get more buyers into this market if we are going to see any kind of long-term uptrend, and certainly if we are going to break this descending resistance channel that we have here. So we're going to keep an eye on that descending resistance. Zooming in here to the 4-hour chart. Again, we can see where price just broke down into this. I told you guys, I believe on my last update, that we were waiting on a break in price. It was kind of wedging. We were waiting on a break in price, whether it was going to go up or go down. I said if price broke down, it was going to more likely test this demand zone between $8.12 and $8. A little small demand zone had developed there between $8.12 and $8. That's exactly what happened. Price broke down into right around, I believe it wicked down into right exactly the bottom, right exactly at about $8 or $7.95, and then the bulls were able to defend that zone fairly well, triggered some buy orders, pushed the price back above, and I'm a little... Guys, I was hoping, I had a couple buy orders filled down here at $8. I was able to get most of my orders filled. It was so quick when it touched down there. I was able to get some of my orders filled, not all of it. But I went ahead and I was hoping for a spike, guys. I was hoping it would hit that demand zone and then just spike back up. We didn't see that. And right now it's kind of downtrending, possibly going to test that demand zone again, it looks like. And if price just kind of settles into this demand zone and doesn't get any kind of a reaction and just kind of hovers around that demand zone, guys, that's going to be a sign of weakness. So we're going to be keeping an eye on volume. If volume doesn't increase, more than likely that demand zone is going to break down. That resistance is going to break down, or excuse me, that support is going to break down. And then we're going to come down here and test this demand zone between 770 and 730, this resistance zone down here. Let me pull up the daily chart because you can see that excuse me, the demand zone down here is much stronger than it was up here. That's a very, very strong demand zone between 730 and 770. I would expect, if price does enter there, I would expect a much stronger reaction, a much stronger bounce. And I've got quite a few more orders sitting down in here between, I've got mine stacked between 750 and 720. I am expecting if price, and that's a big if, it may not, but if price does end up coming down into that zone, I'm expecting a much stronger reaction to the upside. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens. For now, guys, we're looking at volume. As I said, I was hoping for a much stronger reaction. I'm going to zoom in here to get a little better perspective. I was hoping for a much stronger bounce from this 812 to $8 demand zone. We didn't get that. We can see this is all selling. We can see a massive selling block here on volume. We can see the only thing that pushed it up were just a few buyers down here and not very many at all, just barely holding price up. We can see price now is probably more than likely going to come back down and test that $8 to $8.12 demand zone again. And if we don't get any kind of a reaction, it's probably going to just settle in here, move sideways for a bit, and then come back down here and test that 770 to 730 where I would expect a bounce. From an Elliott perspective, guys, what are we looking at? Well, I think my prior count remains intact. I believe we are still looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a truncated fifth wave. That truncated fifth wave, anytime you see a truncated fifth, that denotes weakness. Obviously, we are seeing that weakness in the market now. And so I do believe that we are, I believe I said last time, guys, if price did break down, more than likely we're in an ABC correction. I believe that is what we are in. I believe we're looking at A, B, and C. So have we seen bottom? That's the big question. Time will tell. We didn't get a big reaction at all, as I said, guys. So that tells me that we may not have seen bottom. Looking at our indicators, guys, the 4-hour MACD, we are seeing, let me just make this a little bit bigger, guys, for you so you can see. We are seeing some bullish divergence on the 4-hour MACD. We can see with price was trending down. MACD histogram is trending up. So that is technically bullish divergence. Does that mean we're going to see bottom? Does that mean that was bottom and now we're going to bounce up? I'm not convinced of that yet, guys. I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not we've seen bottom. And again, I say that because we didn't get much of a reaction once we hit that that $8.12 to $8 demand zone. We didn't get that big bounce I was hoping for. So that tells me there may still be further to come. However, we are getting bullish divergence on the histogram. So time will tell. We did not get bullish divergence on the RSI. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. You guys can get a little better look. Let me close this out so you can see we did not get bullish divergence on the RSI, so that is a little concerning and tells me that we may not have seen bottom quite yet. We aren't getting the volume follow through, so again, that tells me we may not have seen bottom. Looking at the 4-hour chart, excuse me, guys, we can see that we have a descending resistance line. What was an ascending support line has been broken. Another sign of weakness. Another reason for me to think that we may not have seen bottom quite yet. That is a very bearish sign that we broke that resistance line, guys. And so now that that resistance is broken, we're going to be looking, or excuse me, that support is broken. We're going to be looking to see we are reaching an oversold zone. As it gets more and more oversold, you're going to get buyers more and more interested. So hopefully we can get some buyers into the market and push this price up. The next thing we're going to be looking at is this descending resistance line to see if we can get the RSI to break above that descending resistance. If we can't, if we come back up, test the resistance and gets broken back down, in that case, more than likely, we are going to come back down and test this 770 to 730 demand zone, as I was talking about. Looking at the stock RSI, we can see it's reaching oversold areas. So, excuse me, still not completely oversold, and we may see a little bit of a bounce, but I'm just not seeing the volume to justify or to be able to say we are going to see a massive bounce, guys. I still believe, based on what I'm seeing now, more than likely, just probability-wise, we're probably going to come down in here, test the bottom of this $8 support. If that doesn't hold, if we do not get a major reaction, it's probably just going to continue on down to this 770 to 730. And we may be looking at an A, B, C, D, E correction. We may be looking at something like this, guys. A, B, C, D, and E. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that before we continue to the upside. So time is going to tell, guys. Like I said, I've got orders stacked in here between about 750 and 720. If it gets down there, if it doesn't, hopefully we'll see a nice little bounce. All eyes are going to be on volume to see if we can get some buyers enter this market. And that's really what we need, guys, not just with EOS, but with the market in general. We've got to get new money entering the market, guys. We've got to get some catalyst to get new money to enter the market. I believe, in my opinion, everybody's waiting on regulations. Once we get some clear guidelines, I think that we're going to get a lot of new money entering the market, guys. Big money, big investors, they want to know the rules before they play the game. Once we get some clear regulatory guidelines, they will know the rules, and at that point, I believe we'll see a lot of volume, a lot of new money into the market, and we'll see the bull run that everyone's been waiting for. But until then, guys, I just don't see it. Until then, it's going to be, we're probably going to continue to see a series of guppy rallies until we see that, until we do get those regulations. So just my opinion. These are my quick thoughts on EOS, guys. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, please let me know in the comment section below. If you have liked this content, I certainly would appreciate an upvote or a re-steam. And until next time, guys, be safe, take care of yourselves, invest responsibly. This is Working, signing out. Take care.